Hi there. Today is April 10th, 2022. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I just erased the live stream that I did a couple hours ago. Oh well. And the reason I shot that video is because to mark a moment, because it's been a year, I just checked this morning, since I was declared cancer-free for the second time. And it was April 7th this time last year. And I just wanted to, mark the moment, give thanks, and let people know I'm still alive and well. I had an accident a couple of months ago in Monterey on Christmas Eve, and blew out my knee and tweaked my neck, and that seems to be healing very well as well. Since the equinox, I started running and I'm hoping to start flying in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, that's what's new. Also, in the past 2 months, I've published my 9th novel, Highest Good, my 9th metaphysical science fiction novel. And I just came from spending 2 weeks in Big Sur, where the Emperor Dragon crosses the road. And I used that time there to put together the 8th book of Divine Metaphysics in physical form, laid out, and I finished the first draft last weekend. It's about 183 pages of original words on original images, and it looks beautiful. So that'll be coming out sometime in the next month. And a little update on the Emperor Dragon, the subtle energy field of the planet. If you've been paying any sort of attention to what I've been doing since the first time I ever dowsed anything, I dowsed the Emperor Dragon line and node at the top of the mountain that is above Jade Cove in Big Sur in December of 2019, at the solstice of 2019. And at that time, the Emperor Dragon was 50 paces wide. And so the node itself was 50 paces wide. Since then, it's a good thing to know about nodes is, they're wherever two subtle energy lines cross, often they will make a node, an energetic structure that has a very interesting life. They are formed, up until now, they've been formed at the, these energetic structures form at the equinoxes and solstices for a short period, and then they disappear. However, what's happening with the subtle energy field of the Earth is that these lines are expanding, and they're expanding at a pretty incredible rate. I've been monitoring them for since 2019, and I've gone to where they flow into and out of the Atlantic Ocean in Virginia, and the two on the West Coast are one's in Big Sur and the other makes landfall in Monterey, on the Monterey Peninsula at Sunset Point. Since when I measured them in the fall, they were 600 paces wide. And as of last weekend, when I did my measurements using my dowsing rods, right? When I measured them last weekend, they were between the southerly one, the Big Sur one, was about 3.5 miles wide, and the northerly one, the one that starts in Monterey, is 4 miles wide, and they're only going to get wider. And eventually, they're 50 miles apart, 54 miles apart, excuse me, and on the West Coast, and about the same on the East Coast, or it's a little less than 54 miles. And they cross, they make a hashtag, 50 miles square hashtag, with an Emperor Dragon line that goes around the poles, North Pole to South Pole, in the middle of Virginia. And what's important to realize about these are the most powerful ley lines on the planet, and they're caused by streams of cosmic radiation coming from different sources. The ones that come from the sun are powerful, but they're not as powerful as the ones that come from active galactic centers in the galactic neighborhood. And there, up until 2017, there were 3 sets of those, because Emperor Dragons, solar lines, and whatnot, they're all in pairs. Like if there's one, it has a twin that runs parallel to it. And so there, up until 2017, there were 3 pairs of those around the planet, and there were only 6 places where those lines cross one another. And one of those places is Mount Kailash in the Himalayas. Now there are around 20 places where they cross one another. And one of them is in Virginia. Before 2017, before 2017, there were no Emperor Dragon lines in North America. Now there are 2 pair, and they cross in Virginia. Like I said, they're caused by streams of cosmic energy, which is the spectrum of cosmic energy is like alpha waves, beta waves, gamma waves, X-ray radiation, that sort of thing. And when it hits the upper atmosphere, it creates these subatomic particles called neutrinos, and they stream through everything. They're going through everything and everyone right now. And every once in a while, they actually hit something, and enough of them hit something to make a low-frequency sound wave at the core of the Earth. And that low-frequency sound wave radiates to the surface, and we experience that as these ley lines. So there's cosmic radiation coming from the sun that does the same thing. That's the cause of the solar lines. Up until 2017, those solar lines were between 10 paces and 30 paces wide. Since 2017, as of September, I dowsed the subtle energy line that runs, the solar line that runs through Chaco Canyon in New Mexico. And it was, at that time, it was 100 paces wide. Now, I haven't measured any solar lines since then. And it's hard to do that here in Big Sur or Monterey, because the emperor dragons are so big that they pretty much cover the same area that those that the solar lines would were. So it's the so the solar lines are now inside of the emperor dragons in those two places. But you know, going from, if we just go by what happened in the fall, the measurements in the fall, I mean, the solar line was, you know, somewhere between 10 paces and 30 paces wide, and now in September it was over 100 paces wide. So that gives you an idea of in what, 3 years, 4 years, how fast these lines are all expanding. And it's not just the solar lines, all the ley lines on the Earth that are caused by the Earth itself. So the core of the Earth rotates against its outer core, and that friction causes a low frequency sound wave that radiates to the surface, and that's the source of all the Earth generated ley lines. Up until 2017, those ley lines were between 1 pace wide to 5 paces wide. You know, 1 pace, 4 pace, 3 paces wide. I have no idea how wide they are now. There's a node in Venice Beach at the breakwater, and when my friend Rory, who first turned me on to this whole story, came to visit when I was in my first round of treatment, so that would have been the February of 2020. I took him to this spot, and he pulled out his angle iron and he doused the spot and confirmed that there's a node there. I've gone back there and not been able to find the edges of that node, because it's covered that whole part of the beach. So anyway, I'm kind of getting down in the weeds more than I meant to on this quick talk update, but suffice to say that there is something happening on the planet right now, and the effects of it. There's two things you probably want to know about. Is what good is it to know all this stuff? How can we use it? You know, what's the benefit? The benefit is, and where is it going, right? The benefit is how to take advantage of this information is through self-induced trance states. And at this point, you don't even have to be anywhere. All the lines on the planet are expanding. Where is it going? It's believed that eventually the whole planet is just going to be covered by this energy. Where these ley lines cross, they create a node, and so a node is an energetic structure where these ley lines cross one another. If you can picture two spheres, one sitting on top of the other, and the place where they meet, those two spheres meet, is the surface of the Earth. That's the node. That dot at the apex of a sphere, of those two spheres where they touch, that was 50 paces wide 3 years ago, 2019. Now that dot on the sphere is 2 miles wide. 4 miles wide. The solstices and equinoxes are periods when all the ley lines on the planet vibrate at the same frequency. And then they go, after a certain period, this time it was 2 weeks, it was 15 days. So from the equinox on the 20th until April 3rd, when when it's the solstices and equinoxes and you happen to be at one of these nodes, that energetic structure is present, and it's an ideal place to go into trance states, self-induced trance states. I've found that whether you're on the node or not, just being in the line with the intention of making, giving thanks and dropping into gratitude and whatnot, it's very conducive to creative trance states. So making music, vibration, right? But also it's the ideal place and time to receive guidance about your life. And the way you do that is through daydreaming. That's how all of our best ideas come to us through our daydreaming, which is self-induced trance states. When you're in daydreaming, your dominant brainwave pattern is the optimum meditative state. It's vibrating between 6 and 8 vibrations per second, or cycles per second. And when you're in that place and you're daydreaming, your eyes are open, right? So you're not going to fall asleep or something, but you know that you're daydreaming only when you come back into yourself. Now, the key is to, once you've come back into yourself and become aware of the fact that you're daydreaming, is to keep daydreaming, to stay there. Okay, that's the optimum meditative state. And when you're consciously choosing to be in that place, all will be revealed. Everything you need to know will be revealed to you by your higher self. So it's from what Rory and I and the whole handful of other people that know about this stuff have been projecting that by the winter solstice of 2024, the December solstice of 2024, the ley lines are the nodes are going to stay open 24/7 from then on. And so once again, if you imagine what these, like in Big Sur, this node right now, where these two spheres touch one another, is 4 miles wide. So you can imagine how big that sphere is. If that little dot at the bottom of the sphere is 4 miles wide, who knows what it's going to be like in 2024. And as what I'm seeing, when I was there in December in Big Sur, the line, I had my friend Mary Margaret with me, and I gave her the angle irons because I wanted her to see the edge of I found where the edge of the Emperor Dragon was. And while we're standing there and she's using the dowsing, using the rods to douse the edge of the line was moving. And in the 10 minutes that we were there, it must have moved 10 feet. So, and it was already way past where the solar line that runs nearly parallel to it was. So it already eaten up the solar line. And so by 2024, it'll be like the solstices and equinoxes as far as these nodes are concerned. They'll be open 24/7. Now, what's interesting about the Big Sur place is there's actually a lot of anecdotal evidence of the existence of this place, of this energetic structure that goes back centuries. It was known as the Ventana. which is, and if you go to Big Sur now, if you look on the map right now, Google it, you'll see there's actually a place called the Ventana Wilderness. There's a restaurant called Ventana. Um, so the term Ventana means portal, and it was said to be a place where the veil is thin between the dimensional planes, and it's really easier to communicate with those on the other side of the veil at the Ventana. I feel that this node on the top of the mountain above Jade Cove is the actual Ventana. But from this expansion, what I'm seeing is that if it keeps going at the rate it's going, even though these are 54 miles apart, at some point they're going to connect, and at another point they're going to actually cross one another, so that the edge of the line of the Emperor Dragon that starts in Big Sur will be past the origin of the line in Monterey, and vice versa. The two nodes will both be in the same. They'll be getting energy from both lines. They will merge and become this 150-mile swath of line that goes from coast to coast and around the world. Don't know when that's going to happen, but if it keeps going at the rate it's going, that's what's going to happen. Could be in 2 years, could be in 10 years, could be in a century, who knows? But that's where, if things keep going at the rate they're going, that's what's going to happen. When that happens, or as that happens, the effect that it's going to have on populations is yet to be determined. What I've noticed, with very limited information, talking to just a handful of people in these places that are direct, like Monterey, 2/3 of that peninsula is covered by the Emperor Dragon right now, just in the past 3 months. But this has been a process that's been going on for over the last decade, and now it's coming to where we can physically douse it and know that it's happening, and where it is. I dowsed a week ago today. I dowsed the edge of the line is halfway down. The northern edge of the Monterey Emperor Dragon is halfway down Fisherman's Wharf. It was nowhere near that part of the city, 6 months ago, when it was, only 600 paces wide. Like I said, now the Monterey one is 4 miles wide. 6 months ago, there was a solar line that crossed into the ocean in Carmel Beach. Now the whole beach, that whole peninsula of the beach, is all in the line, is all in the Emperor Dragon line. Pebble Beach, the golf course, all of that, it's all in the line now. And it's only shown itself in the past 3 months, 3 to 6 months. So what I've noticed is the same thing that makes daydreaming possible, that makes creative trance possible. There's a certain intensity that people are experiencing, and it's only going to become more so in the time ahead. The same thing that makes daydreaming and imagination workable. If you're not really aware the energy potential of what's happening, you can get all caught up in believing all sorts of shit, pardon me, all sorts of stuff that isn't real. And it's, so it helps to be very mindful of, because what I've seen is people get very, it's easy to get very confused. You don't, where, to the point where you don't know what to believe. And we see it on the global scale right now. This whole thing about authoritarianism versus democracy is a function of what's going on with the whole, with the Earth's grid. Because all of the emperor dragons and all of the ley lines on the planet are expanding at this rate. And there's nothing anybody can do to turn that off, or nor should they, because this has to do with the evolution of life on this planet. You know, this is a beneficial thing that's happening. It's just, you know, some people, you know, aren't very well equipped to deal with the effects of it in a meaningful and direct way. But that's one of the reasons why I'm, you know, we've been kind of, Roy and myself, we've been doing this work for the past 20 years or so. You know, in his case, longer than that. I guess my case too, because I found the archaeological site in Big Sur in 93, 94. So, you know, we've been doing this work and hardly anybody knows what we're doing. And pretty soon everybody's going to need to know about this, because they're going to be, whether they know about it or not, they're going to be affected by it. They are being affected by it. Their life choices are, they're making life choices based on not all the information that they would benefit from knowing, you know? So I got a message to deliver, and this is one of the steps to do that. So anyway, I went way deeper into this than I meant to, but as you can tell, there's a lot there to lay out, and I just scratched the surface here. So I've gone about 15 minutes longer than I meant to. Thanks for listening. I'll be stay tuned. I'll be doing my best to fill in the blanks. If you want to know more about what I've been talking about, check, look up roryduff.com. That's RORYDUFF.com. Google Rory McQuestion. That's my partner in all this work. He's a classically trained British geologist who spent, in his early career, he spent 7 years working 1,000 feet underground in a gold mine in South Africa. And that's where he learned how to dowse, and has been teaching people how to dowse ever since. I like to think of dowsing spelled Taozing, you know, dowsing, because it is definitely all about the Tao, you know, the way, the path. And I see myself as being on a shamanic journey, and that everybody alive, if you're alive on this planet, you're on a shamanic journey. So, but check out Rory's work. He's got he does a newsletter that's pretty informative. You know, he's published several books, and I've read most of them, and it's, if you want to know the science behind it, it's all up in there, because he comes from that, you know, geological training perspective. Me, not so much. I have published 2 books and a documentary about this archaeological site in Big Sur. And the most recent one was the Natural History of Life and Death, where there's actually the maps, the global maps of the emperor dragons are the last couple of pages of that book. So there's that resource. Yeah, I think I should get off. So once again, thanks for watching. Here we go. Thanks for watching. And I look forward to flying and being healthy and sharing as much information about this stuff as I can, as I can. Yeah. Remember, we love you.